Welcome to Meaningful Interviews. I'm here today with Rabbi Yosef Keller, an author, a mechaber, a scholar, and most recently I came across a publication that the world of Lubavitch is talking about, and I'm sure the greater Yiddish Welt, Jewish world, will talk about soon, which is, I believe it's called the Tanya Hashalem, and my understanding is that the Rebbe wrote or indicated that he wanted to do this. I don't know if this is what he wanted to do, but they think this is what he wanted to do, which is to bring all pirushim of the Rabbeim, of Chabad Rabbeim, only Chabad Rabbeim, from the Alter Rebbe till our Rebbe, on Tanya Kadisha, the Polish should call it. And so that's a wonderful thing. But what I read when they announced it is that you were involved, and I think it said you worked on manuscripts, and that interests me. So if you could tell us a little bit about the project, if I didn't mention something, you know more about it than I do, and then you'll tell us specifically what you added to it.
Okay, so basically the Rebbe actually followed through on this basic idea when he asked Rabbi Chitrik to put together L'chutei Mar L'koimes Perushim, and Perushim included not only Perushim from the Rabbeim but also from others, for instance Rabbi Yosef Rivlin,
The Tzemach Tzedek.
of the Bitler Rebbe, and the Tzemach Tzedek,
Right.
Who has Hagoyes on the Tanya, some other Biurim that were from Greinem, but
and Rabbi Chitrik included them in his work.
In his work, yeah. Then and obviously also from the Rabbi, Tzemach Tzedek, and the Rebbe himself, and the Rebbe, whatever he found. So in this edition, they focused on Biurim from Rabbi Seil Nasienu, I believe, from the Alter Rebbe himself. There are Mamorim from the Alter Rebbe explaining different passages of Tanya that the Alter Rebbe said during the years after the Tanya was published. As a matter of fact, the earliest bichul that we have of the Tanya, what's called Madura Kam of the Tanya, we have quite a few bichlach, but I believe the earliest bichul was actually written in Smilaner.
Smilaner.
There's a different city called Smila. Let's not confuse the two.
Where is the Smilaner? Where is it?
It's in Ukraine somewhere.
Okay.
And there was Rabbi Yaakov Smilaner, one
Yes.
of the collectors, fundraisers for the. He was in charge of all the fundraising in Eretz Yisrael, making sure that the money gets to Eretz Yisrael, and that it's all collected in Russia and Ukraine.
On behalf of the Alter Rebbe.
On behalf of the Alter Rebbe, Mendel Vitebsker, and the Kalisker.
Well, the Kalisker then.
Kalisker took over the Eretz
right.
operation from when Mendel Vitebsker passed away.
Right.
Correct. Until they parted company.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had his own shulach.
Yeah. So apparently this sefer was under the, I believe it says Shaykh Rabbi Efraim Smilaner. Now, one thing in general, usually when you say Betzal Lazaritcher, Hillel Paritcher, all these names, usually they were the Rabbonim of these cities. Efraim Smilaner, who's a man mentioned by the Frierdiker Rebbe L'chutei Diburim. He was also a Rav of Smilaner, as it says in the Sharblat of this Bichel. And it's known, this Bichel is known as Tanya Brook, because Chaim Sheil Brook had sent it to the Rebbe, apparently, the Chofs. So, and from this Ksavya, they actually printed the Madurikam of the Tanya.
Oh. What's
interesting also is that the earliest dated Mamorim that we have from the Alter Rebbe, the earliest dates, is Tzom Gedalia Tov from Gimel, which happens to be the date when the Rebbe Tzedek
passed away. Right.
And for all you know, it might have been said that first mimer, dated mimer, at the mimer of Reb Dida, because we know sometimes. But in any case, in that bichul, refers in a few Mamorim to the Tanya, Canal Betanya Cotton, or Canal Betanya Godel. Tanya Godel obviously is the Tanya that we have. The way we have it now, it's 53 prokim, but the way it was then, at the time that Al Rebbe released it, it was 39 prokim. It was the prokim from Aleph through Chavtes, Lamed Aleph, in Lamed Gimel through Mem Aleph. Those 39 prokim were available from that part of the Tanya. We know there's the other part of Tanya that's called Chinuch Katan, or Shayichet Vabuna, and that had at the time maybe 12 prokim because
what do you mean?
It includes now up to middle of Perek Yud Aleph, but one of the prokim, which is a pretty large Perek Zion, is because some of it was omitted. Some of it where it talks about Tzimtzum Shalei Kipshutai was taken out and then reinserted in the Tanya Tafresh Samach edition, so it was broken up into a few prokim. And then the Chinuch Katan Dagdoma could have been listed as one Perek, so you have to look in the Kisveyat, those that list the numbers of prokim, how many prokim they are. But in any case, this is the earliest manuscript, dated manuscript. It contains the earliest dated Rabbanim, which are after the Tanya, or after parts of the Tanya, the early parts of the Tanya.
So when you talk about a manuscript, when you talk about a Kisveyat, how do you decipher? I mean, here we know that you say it's written by Efraim Smilaner.
No, it wasn't written by him. It belonged to him. But as a matter of fact, it also includes certain Mamorim from the Tzemach Tzedek. So one thing about the Tzemach Tzedek is that he took upon himself, and he did it in the early years, to travel a little, not just to remain in Lubavitch, but what about Chassidim who weren't to Lubavitch and weren't going to travel to Lubavitch? So in the early years, we have from certain years, Tzadik Aleph, that he traveled to different cities, even traveled to Padich in Tafkuf Tzadik Aleph. In the summer of Tafkuf Tzadik Vav, he actually married off one of his sons, of Yosef Yitzchak, who married the son of a brother-in-law of his, who was a Rebbe in Harnas Teipel at the time.
Yeah.
So he traveled all the way to Harnas Teipel and stopped off in many cities on the way. He stopped off in Kremenchuk and other cities. But aside of that, Tzadik Zayin he traveled to different cities, to Brovna and other cities. And while he was in one of those cities, he also stopped by in Smilaner. Now, Hillel Paricher was, when did he stop off in Smilaner? Around Parshas Lukas. Hillel Paricher was there a little before and a little after, but when he made that detour into Smilaner, it could be that Hillel Paricher did not come along, because that detour was especially in order to meet the Chassidim in Smilaner, and because this Rav was in Smilaner, so he recorded it. So that's
So the objective of this Du Tanya is just the Biurim of the Rabbeim.
Of the Rabbi, yes.
Not Reb Groinem and any of the other Hasidim.
Now, there were, when the Rebbe printed Kitzurim Va'aris Latanya from the Tzemach Tzedek,
yes,
there was a few bichlach which had some of the hagoyes of the Tzemach Tzedek and some other hagoyes that it turned out afterwards that they were of Yosef of Drivin, who later became Rav in Yerushalayim, the Machaber of all the Yosef, and he has many comments on different bichlach chassidus, but could be that those hagoyes, because they were once published under the title of the Tzemach Tzedek, even though by now we know that some of them are not in Tzemach Tzedek, could be those are also included in that bichla. I wouldn't know, it's a big bichla, I didn't go through the whole thing.
Okay, now, are we able to discern who wrote these things?
Okay, so what's interesting is, for instance, the hagoyes of Tzemach Tzedek on Tanya, those that were copied from those that he wrote on the margin of the Tanya. We have certain manuscripts that contain those, and we have other manuscripts that contain Rabbi Yosef's, and also the style is different. When one can tell, by now we can probably tell what is the Rabbi Yosef and what is the Tzemach Tzedek.
Okay, so but both of them, let's say these,
Yeah.
do they have different Tanyas?
I'll give you an example of certain types of agoyas that the Tzemach Tzedek wrote. We know that one of the people, or maybe the person who prepared the Geras HaKodesh for print, I think that Tzemach Tzedek was quite involved in the preparation of printing. Obviously, the Mittler Rebbe was a Rebbe and he printed it, but could be that Tzemach Tzedek assisted him in assembling the different Igrois. We don't know what the role exactly is, but we have a few manuscripts that later the Tzemach Tzedek had, and could be he had them before he printed. There's a book that's now numbered 1034, another one that's now 1064. It could be, it's not sure exactly when the Tzemach Tzedek got those manuscripts. But in any case, in the Geras HaKodesh, when they first printed it, they usually cut and sliced and diced. For instance, certain pieces they didn't print. They didn't always print the entire Geras, and some pieces of what was not printed, the Tzemach Tzedek copied on the margin of his Tanya. I guess maybe he decided that it should be printed in future editions or not. But in any case, those are amongst the comments that we have from the Tzemach Tzedek.
So my question is, if the Mittler Rebbe chose not to put in the full letter of the Alter Rebbe, and you're saying that Tzemach Tzedek sometimes wrote it on his margins, implying that it should go in. What happened to Poil? Did it go in or not?
If it was most of these that are agoyes of the Tzemach Tzedek, they went in.
So what's the logic?
The logic is the Mittler Rebbe himself said, for instance, when he prepared the Siddur for publication, he said that there might be some mistakes, but my son-in-law, Reb Mendel, will be in charge of making sure what should go in, what should not go in. We see even now that we have most of the manuscripts of the Mamorim which from the Anochos of the Mittler Rebbe that were printed in the Siddur, we see sometimes there are differences between the way it's printed and the way it's and usually the way it's printed is actually a better version. It's more muga. There's reason to it. Apparently the Mittler Rebbe had relied on the Tzemach Tzedek. Also, the Tzemach Tzedek later printed the Torah Oyer. The Tzemach Tzedek writes somewhere that his father-in-law had actually asked him to prepare those publications of the Alter Rebbe's Memorim as the way the Alter Rebbe said them. So even though we know it's a project that Tzemach Tzedek did,
yes,
but there's an indication that the Mittler Rebbe actually asked him to do it. His father-in-law asked him to do it.
Oh, and that's, you say it's in a Maimer where?
What?
Where is this written?
I believe it's in one of the letters of the Tzemach Tzedek.
Okay, we'll continue in a moment.